Cosmetic surgery patient Susan Storm has let us eavesdrop while she works toward a new look for Thanksgiving. So far, we've seen her get Botox injections and a mini facelift. This past Monday, she returned to Dr. Kirk Brandow's office for the last procedure in her makeover. It's called a fat transfer.
Which spots bother you?
It's been exactly 1 week since Susan Storm had her mini facelift. Now Dr. Brandow is getting ready to apply the finishing touches to Susan's new look.
Forehead looks good, and between your eyes looks good. I don't think you need anything there. Some of the facelifts that you see that look so pulled and so tight are because people don't fat transplant them. They just keep pulling them tighter and tighter rather than volume filling them.
Typically, a surgeon will use fat from a patient's abdomen, but Susan is so slim, he has to harvest the fat from her hips.
It's just like a nice, gentle suctioning. On Susan, we're just going to take 2 or 3 of these syringes. On some people, we take as many as 8 or 10. So here's what the fat looks like. If you come up close, you can see the little packets and globules of the fat in there. And after we take this fat, we're going to process it, which is placing it in a centrifuge and separating the fluid from the fat, and then we'll place it into little syringes, and we'll be doing a transplant to Susan's face using very micro droplets of the fat. We'll just give you a little tiny bit of sedation.
Susan's sedation is from where the local anesthetic is administered for the actual fat transfer.
You can close your eyes, sweetheart, it's all right. And on Susan, I find that she still is a little stark right in this area. She's got a very acute angle. I'm going to try to soften that up. Put a little tiny bit in here, a little bit around the sides of her mouth, and she feels she's a little thinner on this side than she is on this side.
Dr. Brandow does almost 900 of these procedures a year.
And this is a really very fine touch. It takes a long time to get the sensitivity for injecting just the right amount. We just inject real fine droplets of fat along an area, injecting just a little bit as you come out each time. Is that all right? Doesn't hurt too much? Just gives them that little added fullness that prevents the lipstick from bleeding. I'm always trying to take care of the little mismatches of the face, which is, now that her face is looking so much younger, we want to make sure that her lips are looking youthful as well. Otherwise, she won't match. You see this side of her upper lip is done, lower lip on that side. And then what we'll do is go to the other side, and then a little touch in her upper lip.
It takes about a half hour to complete the procedure. Dr. Brandow carefully molds the newly injected fat as he goes along. This will produce a more natural look once Susan's swelling goes down in a couple of days. Wow. Is it kind of weird, Susan, to see yourself like that?
Very, yes.
Dr. Brandow, I didn't realize fat was that orange. I always thought it was more of a yellow color. But it almost looks like pumpkin, doesn't it?
It does. Some people say it looks like chicken fat.
Yeah, you're right. It does a little bit. And now, Susan, were you sort of semi-awake for that procedure?
You know, it's funny. I remember turning from one side to another, so I guess partially. And then I think the anesthesiologist must have put me under more deeply for certain parts of it. He must have really controlled, because it didn't hurt at all. And in fact, I never even used any pain pills this time.
Actually, really? Wow.
Yeah, and I was back to work on Tuesday.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Dr. Brandow, how do you get the fat to stay in the areas where you want it to go so it doesn't move around or migrate?
Well, we use a very fine little cannula, or a very fine little, like a needle to inject it. And when you put it in, you just put micro droplets along various different layers. I wrote a paper on this back in 1996, of multi-layering the fat. So you don't put it in and then blow up like a big ball of it, which if you pushed on it or moved it, it could move around. Right. It's very confined in the space that you put it in.
So if you were to take some fat from my butt, would I actually notice that my butt would be a little smaller afterwards and put a little in my face?
Yes,
They could call me butt face.
Well, or kiss my butt.
Not that they want that. Kiss my
I do
butt.
joke
Yeah,
about
right
that. But yeah, see, you know, it's you know, that when you do take it from one spot, you can decrease the size of it. But it's not really like a liposuction.
No.
You're trying to take real live cells and move them. But oftentimes, like somebody like Susan or somebody who would be slender like
She's
yourself.
so fit.
Yeah, I would look at you and say, wow, you know, it's funny. You have one leg that might be a little tiny bit bigger than the other leg, and we could take a little bit of fat from there.
And will that be permanent then, wherever you put the fat? Will it stay?
About half of the fat stays, half of it disappears, and the half that will stay will last for about 5 or 6 years. The difference between that and collagen or Restylane or Articol is that you can use a much bigger amount of the fat. You're not going to reject it. For example, the Restylane or one of those other fillers is maybe 1 cc you can use total. And if I was going to do a laugh line, I might use 2 or 3 cc's of your own fat, and half of it will stay. And then I could do the cheekbones and here. So you can do a lot of areas all at once. Plus, not some foreign body. It comes from your own body, won't be rejected.
Great. And how are you feeling about the progress so far? Are you feeling good?
I feel great.
Good.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Well, you look good.
Thank
and
you.
You're still healing, right? I mean,
I'm still a little bit swollen, a little bit stiff, so I
It's
anticipate.
only 10 days now.
Yeah.
gee whiz, so much done in
Incredible.
10 days. And you're back to work and everything.
You bet.
All right. Well, there are only 5 days left before we'll see Susan's final, completely made-over look. So join us next Wednesday to see how Susan will look this Thanksgiving, and then we'll look at a before and after shot, too. For more information about cosmetic surgery, go online to www.brandowclinic.com.